This video is for educational and entertainment use only. The views in this video do not necessarily represent the views or life of Marlon
So
Dixon.
welcome back. Duffle LO to sit down. I told y'all last time, I'm finding the article about the people that's gonna get ready to lose their Medicaid, like I told y'all in the last episode. So I found the article. Let me share my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm referring to. So here we go, right here. This down once again so you guys can see. And it's gonna tweak a little bit. I got the mask. So now let's read this. Public, let's see where is the, so you guys can see where I'm getting it from. See the news. Let me see. You see the date, December 19th, 2021, although today's still January 2nd, 2022. It was updated on the 20th of December last month. But listen to what it says. Public health emergency end could cause millions to lose Medicaid coverage. Up to 15 million people, including 6 million kids, are at risk of losing Medicaid coverage once the public health emergency ends. State and federal officials are scrambling to prepare. So now, just off the title, let me explain to you what it's saying. The public health emergency is this COVID-19 and all these variants that's coming from it. Like we learned the alpha variant that I didn't never heard of. We all heard of the Delta variant, didn't hear about the alpha. But I'm giving you these articles to show you guys how they all build upon each other. If the emergency ends, then millions will lose their health coverage. 6 million kids, as you guys can see. So if all these people will lose their health coverage, that means that they only got this health coverage because there's a pandemic. So if there wasn't a pandemic, they wouldn't have no coverage. So you got to understand that. If it wasn't no pandemic, they wouldn't have no coverage. This Medicaid coverage is money that's coming from the federal government. So the federal government is receiving this money to disperse the coverage to all these people. But they scrambling for when it ends. But as you guys just seen in the other video, is jumping from humans to animals and then back to humans with a whole different variation. So let's get into the article. Every morning when Christina Preston enters the West Community Opportunity Center, which serves Ohio's, something about Ohio, Franklin County, she knows she and her staff are going to be flooded with calls and applications from people in desperate need of help. Their despair could become even more acute next month as the national public health emergency comes to an end. That's this month. That could lead to millions of people losing access to Medicaid and other benefits. We're planning for it as best we can. But the way we're looking at it right now is triage, said Preston, the center director for one of the 3 local job and family services, Brunson and Columbus. I don't even really want to imagine it right now. It's going to be huge. When all these 15 million, let's do the math. I'm pulling math up. 15 million. So 15 million people that's gonna lose their coverage. And it's 300 million people in the US. So that is 5% of the population. That's 5% of the population. So 5% of the population is going to lose their coverage. 15 million people. So if these 15 million people lose their coverage, who's on Medicaid? Most of the people that's on Medicaid, 9 times out of 10, they ain't got no money already. So if they ain't got no money and then they got this emergency situation, health coverage, when they lose that, they still ain't got no money, but they get sick because this virus is still going on. How they gonna pay for their health care? They won't be able to. So it's gonna end this month, but they scrambling to see how much more money they gonna push into the fund, because as you can see, it's like I just said in the previous video, it's jumping from the animals back to the humans. So they gonna need to keep these people on this program. But when they need to keep the people on the program, they're gonna need money. So now they gotta print more money. As you guys can see, they study print money. But like I told you guys in the other video about your savings account, because inflation, the price of everything is going up. Fed's going to raise rates, everything going up. You're going to have to deplete your savings account. It's going to be huge, like she said. But let's keep going. Across the country, local agencies like Preston's are preparing for the unraveling of the expanded social safety net that was created in response to the coronavirus pandemic. And most significantly, the end of the continuous Medicaid coverage, which expires January 15th at the end of the public health emergency, unless Biden administration extends it. Today is the 2nd. This is 13 days away. That's less than 2 weeks. Less than 2. So it's going to end on a Saturday. The provision, a requirement under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which passed in March 2020, prevented states from removing Medicaid recipients from the program's rolls. At least 11 million people have enrolled in Medicaid since February 2020. Now look at this. You know, the coronavirus didn't hit the US until March of 2020. So they already ended up writing the act in March and passed the act in March of 2020. So they didn't take a year or a month or none to come up with this act. This act was like this. And now it's going to what? It's going to be finito in 13 days. Up to 15 million people, including nearly 6 million children, could be at risk of losing their Medicaid eligibility when the protection expires, according to the Urban Institute, an economic and policy research think tank. You better pay attention to them think tanks. The change could have an outsized effect on communities of color. The Urban Institute concluded. I just told y'all that earlier. Who's the most people that's on the Medicaid? Majority of them are poor. Who's the most likely to be poor is going to be the Blacks. I don't know if you look at the EBT numbers and all that stuff. There's more whites on the programs than Blacks, but a lot of the whites may have other resources that Blacks don't have those same resources. So now this is 6 million children. So let's just say 10% of those children, which would be what, 600,000 will be colored. Let's just say that 600,000 children will not have medical coverage. And look at this, what they're saying. It's going to expire. Expire means, so it has to get extended or it's gone. Many are likely to be eligible for other forms of subsidized coverage. Keyword, look at subsidized. They say, oh, subsidized housing. When they say subsidized, that means substandard, which means not the standard, it's below the standard. So if you need all these amenities in your house and you live in a substandard or a subsidized house, it's below that. You got to understand the words that they use. The analysis found, but there is a concern that few people will know that they are in danger of losing Medicaid and are eligible for other types of health insurance. Why they don't know this stuff? Because they do not know these other programs. Like I said, the other races understand these other programs or are being told about these other programs. The Blacks, melanated people that's on these programs don't know about the other programs. They don't know about them. There have been few attempts to communicate this to those who are affected, they said, and not every state is approaching the problem the same way. Some of these people ain't even reading none of their mail. They seeing their mail, looking at it, and they throwing it in the garbage, ripping it up, throwing it in the garbage. Ain't read it thoroughly to totally understand what it's saying because they work it so much. So it's like it's very interesting. The time to start planning for this was yesterday, said Sandy Mann, a partner at Manhattan Health, who was the director of the Center for Medicaid and CHIP services during the Obama administration. We really don't have more time. In some cases, people who will be scrambling to assess their eligibility and potentially trying to find new healthcare plans could be met by states looking for ways to tighten their fiscal belts by aggressively removing people from the Medicaid rolls. When they say they gonna tighten a fiscal belt, that's the bottom number. So this is my bottom number. These are my expenses, but this is my income. So if I cut my expenses, my income is going to still be the same, but my bottom number going to change. Why? Because I have more profit if I have less expenses. So when they say they trying to tighten their fiscal belt, they trying to tighten that bottom number and they want to be in the profit. So they're going to aggressively remove people, which means it's going to be a lot of requirements that if people do not stringently meet these requirements, you got to go. You got to go. And what people don't understand, which is so ironic, that's why I like bringing up the PPP loans. If you did that PPP loan and they find out that you did that PPP loan with your business, you is going to be kicked off of these programs for a very long time. You can't get no unemployment. You can't get on none of these programs. You can't get no free food. You ain't going to get your rent, mortgage paid. None of that going to get paid. How you supposed to take care of yourself and you ain't got no job? Contending with Medicaid disenrollment next year is the looming monster, said Preston, who compared it to the overwhelming number of calls and cases around the country when a record number of people made unemployment requests. When the situation hit and they closed all the businesses, everybody that had a job filled out for unemployment. Immediately, that crumbled that system, and everybody had to take their time to get their unemployment. It's gonna be the same thing once people start getting sick and they don't have no coverage. You ain't never seen no medical bill because you went to the doctor and you ain't have no health insurance. They send you a $5,000 bill for them just putting you in the ambulance, putting you in the room, getting you saline, and then bringing you some food. They charge you $5,000 for that. So what you think they're gonna charge you when they gotta put you on the respirator? They gotta keep you in the hospital for 2-3 weeks and all what? People gotta understand. The trouble is that enrollees in crisis may also run into local agencies suffering through staffing shortages and morale issues. People is not working right now. So when this many people come and hit this system at one time and there's not enough workers, the workers is going to be overwhelmed and stressed. They're going to be getting sick because they overwhelmed and stressed. And morale issues is they're going to become angry and mad, and they're going to be letting certain people in, and they're going to be throwing certain people to the side. It's just the truth. Everything piling up has caused a lot of burnout. You got to understand burnout. Same thing, like I told you guys, I'm in law school. Burnout is you working hard to where now you just burnt out. You can't even work no more. Like your mind just ain't there no more. You don't want to do it anymore. You have no more motivation to do it. A lot of frustration and a lot of individuals to unfortunately leave their jobs. So if it's already short staffed and then people get burnt out and then they leave the job, it's going to be double, triple short staffed. Who said it takes 12 months to train a new caseworker? That's a whole year. Short staff, burnout, 12 months to train somebody that's new if they trying to get the job, if they meet the requirements and qualifications for the job. As of now, states are required to keep people on Medicaid rolls during a public health emergency unless they move out of the state or ask to be removed. When a public health emergency ends, states will have 12 months to go through enrollment and determine everyone's eligibility status. The Center for the Medicare and Medicaid Service reported that from February 2020 to May 21, enrollment in Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program, notice that word, Children's Health Insurance Program, spells out the acronym CHIP, better know them RFID chips, grew by 11 million people or more than 17%, the largest increase over 18 months in the program's history. Federal spending on the program grew by 9.2% to $671.2 billion in 2020 because of the growth in enrollment. But when these emergencies expires, Medicaid recipients could be disenrolled from the program for an infraction as seemingly minor as not updating their personal information, something they haven't had to do since March 2020, or missing a letter in the mail about their change in status. People is getting their mail, and when they get their mail, they looking at it, I don't know what that is, and then they throwing it in the garbage. So now you missed it, now they disenroll you. Or you ain't update that you got a new address. You ain't update you got a new job. You ain't update that somebody moved out your house or somebody moved in your house, anything, and you got to get off the program. It's gonna be stringent. This is a particular concern because many people moved, like I just told your address, during the pandemic, and a large number of those who received Medicaid were also caught up in the eviction crisis. We ain't got nowhere to stay, nowhere to live. and you ain't got no health insurance. Lots of folks who are in tough circumstances are not going to get these notices, Doran said, because if they send a notice out to you and they send it to your old address, but you move from the address, now they don't know where you live at, and you're not able to update to them in the system telling them where you at, and then they send it to your old address. So technically, you got a time limit on when you're supposed to fill that out. You ain't fill it out in time. They disenrolling you. Now you don't know this, so you thinking you going to the doctor and you got something that you ain't even got. Lots of folks are in, if English isn't your primary language, if you have to upload paperwork and don't have good internet access, if you're working multiple jobs, this isn't going to be an easy nut to crack. They telling you this ain't going to be no easy nut to crack. Why? Because a lot of people is working these multiple jobs that they got to go in the house, sleep to get ready to go to the next job, come in the house, sleep to go to the first job. So they ain't got time to be doing all this stuff and figuring this stuff out. Government officials and healthcare advocates emphasize how large a shift in American healthcare coverage this will be, and noted that this will occur while the country is still struggling with the spread of the coronavirus. It's getting ready to go down. And the next article that I'm going to get ready to have y'all go through is specifically for you Black women. It's specifically for you Black women, so stay tuned. Whether you Black, white, or not, but if you're a Black woman, please stay tuned. This could be the biggest healthcare transition since the Affordable Care Act passed, but this will be in a negative direction for coverage instead of a positive one. Healthcare Act, everybody got healthcare. Well, not everybody, but most people got healthcare. A lot of new people got healthcare. But this is going to be in a negative. Now, ain't none of these people got no healthcare. Now they around here sick. Now you so sick and you don't want to go to the doctor to get this $20,000 doctor bill. So you rather sit in the house, or you're going to be around other people as if you're not sick or taking any type of medication or any, some of them home remedies will work. So that's why I say, work out, eat healthy, keep your mind right, and a lot of this won't bother you. But a lot of people eat the wrong stuff, and a lot of people are going to become sick, and they won't have the Medicaid, because I told you a lot of stuff is in the mindset. With the federal funding to the state Medicaid programs expected to draw down quickly in the months after the public health emergency ends, some states are debating at what pace to go through the process of trimming the rolls. So now they don't know they want to go fast, they don't want to go slow. January 15th around the corner. So that means by the time January 30th, 130 come out, it's going to be at least 1 million people cut. In Ohio, the Republican-controlled legislature included in the budget it passed earlier this year that the state would need to complete those redeterminations in 90 days, which advocates say is not nearly enough time to reach out to Ohio's 3.2 million Medicaid recipients and ensure that people who remain eligible aren't disenrolled. So that means they might just start cutting people. Hey, we ain't make it to them. We're just going to cut them because we ain't make it to them. Erica Crowley, commissioner who now oversees the Job and Family Service Program and fought against the 90-day provision in the budget when she served, the legislature said about 460,000 people will have to be processed within 90 days in her county, which includes Columbus. With about 300 case managers, it would amount to more than 1,500 applications for each one of the. This is the system, ladies and gentlemen. This is not just in this situation. If you know anything about public defenders, they have a high caseload. You know anything about probation officers, they have a high caseload. Because they have all these cases, they are unable to adequately look at the case because there's so many of them, and they're overwhelmed. They become overwhelmed. They burn out. They stop caring about the job and helping the people. They just worry about just coming to work, getting a check, doing the bare minimum. This affects everybody. Let me see how long this is. Let me see. Okay, we almost done. Let's go. We talked about a lot of bad stuff. How about we go to some good stuff? See, the Build Back Better Act, the Biden administration's landmark safety net bill, provides some guardrails to further protect Medicaid recipients and prolong the federal funding provided to states. But it could prove to be an added administrative wrinkle. That means a problem. The bill, which is unlikely to pass before the new year, would stretch the federal funding through the end of September, though it would go down by about half at the end of March and decrease further at the end of June. That's why they said in June, you're going to be scraping the bottom of your savings account. All this is connected. It literally is all connected. It would allow states to terminate coverage only for individuals who had been enrolled in Medicaid for 12 consecutive months, limit the number of enrollees a state could drop from the program per month, required states to attempt to make contact through methods other than mail and require increased oversight and reporting to the federal government. That means they want to know all your info, ladies and gentlemen. And if you already been on Medicaid for 12 consecutive months, you in first line to get cut. That's what they saying. And they're going to give you a number that they could drop per month. So they already saying we're going to drop 500,000 per program per month. Everybody that meet this query, we're going to just drop the whole query. And they saying, how are you guys going to make contact through methods other than the mail? That means they going doom, knocking on your door. That's how they going to make contact with you. But it's coronavirus and all these viruses out here. So a random person got to come to another random person's house and they got to make contact with each other. Okay. States such as those that decline Medicaid expansion could again decide to forego the additional federal funds and avoid all of those guardrails and administrative burdens. States are certainly doing these calculations to decide whether it's worth it to adhere to the requirements in exchange for the enhanced federal funding. See, should we go ahead and let them, take all this information just for them to give us a little funding? That's how the states is deciding right now. Or whether it makes more sense to try and conduct the redeterminations at a faster pace, said Jennifer Tober, Associate Director of the Kaiser Family Foundation Program on Medicaid and the uninsured. You see all these programs, they say, telling y'all, these is people that do stuff with these programs. These other programs inside the program. It's a lot of program. Whether or not states decide to participate, it appears SAY and others at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Service are preparing to keep a close eye on what states are doing and whether they're dropping individuals without necessary follow-through. So you got a program inside a program and another program watching the program and what the program doing with the program. A lot of program. Whether or not states decide to participate, read it already. In the meantime, they said it was unprecedented, meaning it never happened before. The amount of work the centers and states have done together to try to stem the flood of change in Medicaid coverage and ensure that people are connected to other forms of healthcare coverage. I mean, you just want to be healthy. Like, how many different ways can you have healthcare? I don't know. I know that they got the HMO, they got the Red Cross, Blue Shield, Blue Cross, Blue Shield. They got it's all type of different people that cover, but I mean, wouldn't it be the same coverage? You just want to be healthy. It's kind of a no-brainer when you think of how healthcare should work, and it's never been more important than in this context. They said, I really think we need to further encourage all of us and our state counterparts to be working in this way, not just now, but also in the future. We need to get all these programs together, start talking to each other, working with each other. We need to get all this information down. We need to get the people information. We need the people used to giving us all the information that we need to better further help them. So we basically need all the information of what's going on in their life, so that way we can help them. Think about when you fill out for the form, they ask you who live in your house, who moved out of your house, who moved into your house, what's the income coming in your house from you and everybody else in your house, what school do they go to in your house, did anybody stop going to school, did anybody start going to school, do anybody expect that they get ready to have a job or leave a job? Like, they ask so many of these questions to understand what type of person you are and what's going on inside your household, although you're supposed to have privacy. So I hope you guys end up listening to this whole video and check out the article. That's the article right there. You can always look it up. I'm getting ready to go into this next article next and tell you guys specifically about Black women, like, because they doing something interesting down in Georgia with the Black women. And I didn't read this article. I just found this before I started this one. So we're going to go through this article at the same exact time. So that's all I got to say for this video. Hope you guys learned something. Once again, like I said, this is Duffle LO to Sit Down. And one thing that I want to tell you guys, I have, I call them booklets. I have booklets that I wrote about a lot of different things when it comes to like stress, when it comes to working long hours and how it affects your academic performance, how drinking too much water can land you in prison, the police and the body cameras and how they would negatively, positively affect society, what stress does to the mind and the body, a lot of different things that'll help you. So if you guys are interested in any of those, please hit me in the links below, possibly on my email, and I'll get those shipped out to you. But other than that, that's all I gotta say for this video.
This video is for educational and entertainment use only. The views in this video do not necessarily represent the views or life of Marlon Dixon.